Explore your thoughts. Learn what you think you already know. We're taking you on a journey to the other side. Welcome everyone again to another edition of The Other Side. We continue our election coverage today from Police Jury District 7. With me, I have Mr. Bobby Bordelon. Mr. Bordelon, I thank you very much for joining the program. Like I tell all my guests, my fans that are watching this, they hear this ad nausea, but I say it to everyone. We really appreciate you coming on. I think it's very important. Everybody has different opinions, like Kirby Roy had said on another podcast, and that's what we're here for. We want to hear everyone's opinion, let the public decide on which direction that we think we should move forward.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So, Mr. Bobby, if you could briefly just give us a little introduction about yourself, wherever you worked, how long have you been a jury member?
I'm Bobby Bordelon. I live at Spring Bayou. I've been a juror. This is my first term. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it. It's been a lot of uphill since I've got elected. As soon as I got elected, 2 months after I got elected, COVID hit. So we had a big problem with that. We went through some difficult times in my first term, and I think we've overcome. I think we've done well. Like I said, I live at Spring Bayou, work at a nursing facility. I'm a maintenance supervisor there. I worked 15 years for the Sheriff Department at Rapides Parish before that. I was third in command of the Corrections Division there. I enjoy being in Avoyelles Parish. I enjoy the people in Avoyelles Parish. So whenever I moved here and built my house here, this is where I want to be, and I'm glad to be here. And I started looking into politics and how things were going. And I don't owe nobody no favors. I didn't go to school with this particular fella. I didn't owe this one a particular favor. I came in with a clean slate, and that's the way I've ran the last 4 years. And I think the residents of District 7C, that's how I ran. That's how I do, and that's how I've performed the last 4 years.
So this is your first term run, or this is your second term. You have one term.
Yes.
You're on the backside of it.
Right.
What prompted you to run to begin with?
Because I've always enjoyed politics. I've seen it many times. I've studied it. I attended police jury meetings 2 years in Avoyelles Parish before I ever ran. I learned the best I could. I attended committee meetings. I asked questions. I've even got cussed at and kicked out of one time. But I'm interested in the well-being, and I felt like our district needed to have a voice, and I felt like I could show a better voice, and I feel like in the last 4 years I've proven that.
Who was the incumbent prior to you?
Mr. Trent Clark, good man. Have nothing wrong to say.
You ran against him, or he retired?
No, I ran against him.
Okay.
And super nice guy, and we just handle things on a different level, and he's a super nice guy. Nothing bad to say about him, no, sir.
Bobby, you mentioned it was an uphill battle. Everyone that got elected that election cycle, they've all dealt with COVID, and we've dealt with COVID and everything as citizens. So, the wheels of success, it tends to put a wrench in it. But what are some of the accomplishments that you feel you've provided for your district or for the parish as a whole?
I think as a parish as a whole, that what I provided was that I made sure that any extra funding we got didn't go to certain pet projects. And that was a problem at the police jury I seen coming in. You get extra money from other places, and it went to capital outlays, and it went to pet projects. When we started getting money back, I think it was like 5 or 6 years prior to me taking over, that they didn't get any money from the casino, and we started getting that money back. Well, the president at that time, before I was elected, the president at that time, he wanted to allocate some monies to go to certain pet projects. So once I came in and we started getting this money back, I made sure that every district got its fair share of the fundings from casino fundings, gambling money, and that it got split to capital outlays, and that we all got our fair share. It got split 9 ways. And that way every district had a right could show, because that was a question I asked in the jury meeting. So we're going to get this money. What is District 7 going to get? And it's like I kind of got looked at from the side like, hold on, we don't, I made it happen. We've got funding. we get our fair share. District 7 gets our fair share. We also had the Road District 2 tax that was passed before I came into office. They get the extra lanyard. But District 7 gets its fair share, and that's one of the most things I'm proud of is that I made sure that money was split.
So that that tax that was passed, it was they divided it into like I think it was 4 or 5
Four
districts,
districts, yes.
and so the one that passed, does that encompass your entire district or
No,
just some of it?
not my
Right, yeah,
entire district.
some of
It,
it.
it carries the Bordelonville and the Plocherville
Yeah,
area of it. Then it carries back to Simpsport,
Simsport.
but it doesn't carry like toward Mansour, the Spring Bayou area. I carry, but they have they've gotten a lot from that, and I'm glad that they've got their money's worth. Not everybody's got their money. Uh, I kind of I have arguments sometimes with people. They say, "Well, we paid in this much tax and we've not got nothing." The taxes I pay in every year, federal taxes, I don't get that back in return. I mean, it's just
Right.
it doesn't. Everybody doesn't get it back, unfortunately. But it is being spent in that district, and they are getting that tax money, and they are getting their fair share of the police jury money that's allocated as well.
So whenever the police jury money gets allocated to all of the districts, so one district may have more roads than another district or more problems. Is it divided equally, or is it per as needed?
That
I
was
guess
probably
priority basis.
that was probably one of the worst that was a mistake I made whenever I fought to make sure that money was being going to be split instead of going to a pet project. When it got decided, okay, it's going to be split 9 ways, I walked out of there with big chest. I won. My district's getting its fair share. Now, that was last year since we got this money back. When I started looking at it this year, I said, oh, let's look at the amount of roads. That's how it needs to be split now, based on the mileage, because you have some areas uh, like Glenn McKinley's district. The road isn't much. There's not many road mileage outside the city limits, but he's getting the same fair share, and Mark Burrell as well, as people like me and Daryl Wiley, who probably has the highest amount of roadways.
Yeah, he mentioned that when I interviewed him. He has the most
Right. And
mileage.
so those are things that I want to make sure that if reelected, that it's going to get distributed equally based on the amount of mileage that we have in each district.
And Bobby, I know we live in a fairly small parish. In fact, the census went down from the 2010 to the 2020 census. We have 42. We had 42. Now we have 40,000. So we know there'll always be a funding problem. No one's going to get their roads fixed overnight.
Right.
We understand that. It's hard for everyone to stay patient. Everyone wants their roads fixed yesterday, but the truth is, it would be a process because it's a matter of funding of a much smaller parish.
Right.
Rapides has, I don't want to get it wrong, I think maybe 150 or 200,000 people in the parish, so that, they have a lot better parish roads and everything than we do. So, speaking of our parish roads, what are your thoughts on the current parish conditions? You've seen a lot. COVID, dampened a lot of things, but overall, the progress y'all have made, the incumbents that are in there currently, the way y'all work together to move forward. How would you rate it if you could give it a grade A through F, just overall?
I seen your prior podcast and asked that question. I asked myself since then, how would I rate it? And I think a lot of people wants to rate it on as an average, but I feel like we need to look at how we're going to rate it based on what part that we're looking at. I mean, looking at the funding, the dedicated funding that we get for the libraries, I give us an A+. The fundings that we get for the health unit that's dedicated, I give us an A+. The little bit of funding that we get for roadways, when you take that 1 penny and you split it 4 ways and you give that 1/4 cent of that 1 penny to us to fix roadways, man, you ain't got much to work with. I think and basically all we have from that point is we can only upkeep what we have. So that's the reason you don't get a lot of things. We look forward to getting these extra gaming funds come in. That way we use that for capital outlay, which is a 25% match. And so we can come in and we put that up. Capital outlay comes in, and each district chooses a road, and we do. That's how we're able to redo them now. And Road District 2, they've been blessed by paying that. Now, some of them's going to gripe, oh, I'm not blessed, I didn't. But they have gotten a lot from that, and I'm glad they have. I don't know when that tax comes for renewal again. If I'm elected, if I'll even bring it back up to the people. Actually, I'll probably if reelected, I'll definitely have a big get together and, in that district and Q&A and say, hey, what do y'all want? Do you want to bring it in again?
So where does this capital outlay come from?
From the state.
So it's from the state. It's not from the parish sales tax or property or anything like that.
We use some of that money, 25% of any extra money. Basically, what we get from our taxes now is just a maintain.
Right.
That's what you see the people, and people gripe all the time. I understand. I gripe. When I used to see they just filling these potholes up. They just filling the potholes up. But that's the only tax money we get is that we can afford to do. Now, when we get this extra money from gaming, we use that 25%. We use that as however much we get from them. If we get $250,000 from them, well, what we can do is turn around. We apply for $1 million grant from the state. We gonna get that grant on what roads we're gonna do, and then we turn around and we split that 9 ways. Now, it was never done that way. That's the way we do it now, because that's what I did. Make sure that took place and it's going to happen. Every district gets its fair share in order to just not move my district forward, but to move the parish forward. So that's how we get that now. And we just a poor base. Now, our health units, our libraries, those are taxes that are, when people say they're overtaxed and they pay their taxes, that's where their tax money is going. And they say, why is it going there? Because you renew it every time it comes up. And that's your right to renew it if you want to renew it. I don't, now, can that money be rededicated? Only if someone like Darrell Desautels went to legislation and rededicated. Of course, he's not going to do that. I don't blame him. But I think that's something that people need to understand is where their tax dollars are going. And very little is going on roads. And if you try to bring up a road tax, what does most people say? Oh, I ain't voting for no road tax.
Yeah.
The roads are horrible. But we have beautiful libraries and we have beautiful health units. We're building more libraries and we're building another health unit at Simsport because that money is there and it cannot be used. Not one penny can be used to fix a pothole.
So the 1 cent sales tax, that can only be used on roads, or that roads and ditches and drainage?
On the 1 cent, that is actually split up. Some of that's for your waste. Goes to waste.
Some of that goes to waste as well.
Yeah. 3/4 of that. 3/4 of that goes to waste.
So we're left with just a quarter of that divided 9 ways. And
but it's not divided. That quarter's not divided. That quarter's basically only an upkeep. That's all that can afford.
Yeah.
We can't fix almost no roads with that unless we have some capital outlay money. Like I think we just got some money in from another entity that we normally wouldn't even get one in from this new online gaming I seen today. So that is money that we use when we get that to the general fund, and the general fund, the money we have in the general fund is what we use to go toward our capital outlays.
right, I believe Kirby had said, I keep going back to him because he's
Sure.
The president. You know, you being an incumbent and him,
Right.
I get to pick your brains
Yes.
a little bit more to
Yes.
help,
Right.
educate myself
Yes.
and also the viewers.
Perfect.
I think he said something like $175,000 per mile that it would cost to
It does.
to fix.
And whenever I got elected 4 years ago, it was 130,000. And when the Biden administration took over, oil prices went up. It went up to about 175,000.
Yeah, we're all feeling the heat from all that.
That's the way it was. So there was and I'm gonna use Old River Road for example.
Mm-hmm.
That was a road I put in capital outlay. I was able to start that road from the beginning and go to the end of it to where the bridge is, and people from that area knows that. That was funded when I put my capital outlay in for that. When it came back, when it got time to do the job, it went from 130,000 to that 100.
Yeah.
I either had to cut that job or I had to cut back the mileage of it.
Right.
We had to do that on a lot of Road District 2 things that Jacob and I worked on with the Road District 2 tax that we were doing in Bordelonville, Clocherville, those areas like that. We were going to go from, for example, North Bayou Glass from one crossing to this other crossing. I had to scale back from that or either cut it out completely. I didn't want to cut it out completely. Yeah. So I scaled back based on the inflation that we were facing at that time, unfortunately.
I think most people watching this are all experiencing that in your grocery bill.
Sure,
you got to
sure.
scale back
Definitely.
or just your day-to-day,
Definitely.
vacationing or we've all been feeling the heat from the hyperinflation that took place the the last few years. So, in your opinion, Bobby, what can be done to this parish to make it better? We out of COVID now. Let's moving on to the next phase. Get this election passed behind us. And if you are reelected, what do you think can be done to make the parish a better place?
I think, continue on fighting for what we need and want. We hoping other businesses will come. I mean, the amount of money we have coming into this parish, you only have that to deal with. For example, if you were to and I'm just going to jump real fast and jump back off. If you were to go to a home rule charter and you get a president elected today, this election, next year he's not getting one penny more in sales revenue or tax than what the people does, or property taxes. It is what it is. And I mean, try to work and keep doing what we're doing, and hope these more fundings come in, hope different things come in. I think fantasy football, that was the first check we just got, and I didn't get a number from her today. That was the first time we received any revenue for that.
That was the online gambling you were speaking about a while ago.
Right. So we just received that fantasy football that goes back into the general fund. And money changes. I heard some people when we had our last meeting, it was a big thing on Facebook. We had $11,500 in our general fund. Oh, people freaked out. It's not unusual. We go down the day, we get tomorrow. We go down today, we have $143,000 in our general fund. Last week we had 11,500. So that goes to show you it changed. Now tomorrow we might only have 102,000. We might have 220,000 tomorrow. So that fluctuates. It isn't like us who live our basic life to where we get a bunch of money in every day and it goes out. This is very common. So 11,500 is a good political sling at you, but that's not uncommon, not at all.
Right. So we live our day-to-day lives working 9 to 5. You know what you can budget yourself,
Right.
Minus the inflation, but typically you can budget yourself and you know what's coming in, you know what's going.
Right.
In politics, you don't know. These are all projections for next year.
Everything's
You're
projections.
estimating that we're going to make this much. You're one COVID lockdown away from completely decimating those projections or some kind of other unforeseen disaster or circumstances. And that could change a lot of things and put us all upside down in a heartbeat.
Very much.
So let's stick with the taxes. Let's go to the garbage tax. So we had a couple of set of figures. We had the police jury was showing that we had a deficit. Then another elected official was showing that we had a surplus. So the question everybody asks is, we wake up the taxes fell. Wake up the next day, our garbage still gets picked up. So if you can just talk a little bit about that, what happened there, what were y'all looking at, and what did they have?
To touch base on that, what took place, we went on, my understanding, if I remember correctly, on 2018 tax. Whenever you look at, when they start looking at doing a tax and you start looking at long term, you just don't say today, oh, I think we're going to need money and let's put it on the ballot for a tax raise next election. This went on for like 2 years. You look at this, there was arguments, there was a lot of things that took place. I was dead set against having any property tax involved because I felt like everybody uses garbage. It should be a sales tax.
Yeah.
Strictly. But we were maxed out. We could only do a quarter cent because Avoyelles Parish was maxed out. Now, we could have changed that if Darrell Desautel would have went to legislation and done it. He's not going to do that. I don't blame him. I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
So we only had that quarter, which wasn't enough, according to our finance committee, which was Charles Jones, and he was over finance committee. He based everything on the 2018 pre-pandemic. Now, people started getting these checks. So by the time we based it on 218 and it got back here, I remember sitting in a meeting. I don't remember if it was a committee meeting or if it was a regular meeting. And I asked our treasurer, because look, when I get sick, I go to a doctor and ask him to help me. If I need legal help, I go to an attorney. If I need financial help, I depend on accountants, but I would depend on those people, their recommendations. I remember asking our treasurer, do you think we can go 5 years with what we got now? And she said, I just don't think so. Now, what we look at when we look at this, they wanted a 5-year contract. Do we have, I think, $6 million in that account? Sure. They went up $1 million on us. When they got ready to go, I was the one that said, "Oh, y'all want to do this? We need to bid this out."
Yeah.
It got bidded out. Still came in the cheapest with $1 million
Is that right?
raise. Still came in. We had 3 bids came in. Still the cheapest with $1 million raise to it, and a 2.5 CPI to it. So, what do? Do we take the chance on 5 years? That scared me because we're locking ourselves in as a parish to it. So, let me tell you, whenever it comes to almost anything you bring to me, and we're going to touch base on this in a little while, anything you bring to me that you want to say, I think this should be a tax or I think this should be voted on, I'm going to put it on the ballot. Let the people decide. I am going to do that. I've always done that. And that was my reason for this tax to come up. Let the people decide. Do they want to pay for their own garbage if we run out of money or if not? The 5 years scared me. They would not come off the 5-year contract. So put it on the ballot. Let the people decide. If I would have took that right away from the people, we're going to touch base on this because it leads to probably your next question. If I would have took that right away from the people and all of a sudden in 3 years their garbage isn't picked up again, then they're going to look at me and say, why did you take that right? You took that right for us to choose if we want to pay that extra money to continue trash pickup. That's not who I am. You have a right. And I felt at that time that we, according to our accountants, that the money wasn't. Now, what we're looking at, the money did pick up due to the fact of the COVID money. People were getting these stimulus checks and all that. Now it's starting to dwindle back down again. So, I mean, hey, it may be something that's going to have to be looked at again in a few years.
Right.
I mean, definitely.
Is there any particular reason y'all went off the 2018? Is that just was the most current that was completed?
That's when it started. That's when the talk of this started to be, the way things are going, we're not going to be able to do this.
Was there a trend from 2018 to 2019, like maybe less revenue brought in, and maybe 2020? Well, obviously 2020 was COVID.
Right.
And
I think it was probably it was based on the years before, and everything was kind of leveling, looking. Right. It's kind of all was looking the same according to what the finance committee told us, and that's the way it was looking, And it was let the people decide, and I think it's gonna, a lot of people can sit back and say. To tell you what we have right now, and just in the solid waste, we have $5.8 million. A lot of people say $5.8 million. Really, man, that's not no money. We're paying $3.15 million right now every year, and it's going up with the CPI.
So right now, the garbage collection, the waste that they're charging $3.5 million.
Right.
Then, so in the whole account, there's $5 million, and then how much do we bring in?
Right now, January the 1st, 2023, we the solid waste contract was $3.1 million. Basically, for the 5 years that we have, the contract total is going to be roughly $16.5 million for this 5-year contract going to 2027. Our estimated sales tax is 21.5. Our solid waste operation cost is $4.5 million, which puts us a contract and operation of $21 million, and the estimated sales tax for the next 5 years to 2027 is $21.5 million. That's putting you $500,000 in the bank, which is taken away from what I tell you just now, a $5.8 million. Going to leave us a $500,000 in the bank
For this year or in 5 years from now?
No, within every year it's going to start taking away from that.
Right.
From that 5.8.
Right. We're not generating. So every year we're dipping in a little bit more into that $5 million. A bit more,
and that's what it would have never been this far into 2027 had we not had those 2 years of those stimulus money coming in. This would have been way backed up. And that was what I think our finance committee at the time was looking at. That's what our treasurer was looking at. And they were being safe. I mean, we want to keep the people in line with the trash. And, hey, I want the people to decide what they wanted,
Right.
Definitely.
Speaking of letting the people decide, we'll move on to Home Rule Charter. You're kind of touching on it earlier. We're not going to go into details on the specifics as far as from the very beginning. And I mean, you can. I mean, I'm not going to explain it. My viewers have been hearing me say it ad nausea. So What's your how what was your involvement for it or against it or whatever? What was your involvement with it, and how is it what it is now? So it come out that we're now $35,000 that we've paid an attorney.
Right.
Kirby was saying that if it's even in a special election, it would be $20,000 to have it on the ballot. So the what the people are saying is that we almost had two elections now. So elect for the charter, then another election for the commissioners, and it's like we're almost there.
Right.
So if you could just touch on that.
Right. You know, kind of let me start from the beginning from what I know about this. And basically, when I learned about this, I met with Mr. Caligari, and we met on it. And when I looked at this, I brought this up, I want to say in last November, and to the jury, I said, jurors, these people are going to get those 2,500 votes. 2,500 signatures on a petition. Let's us go ahead and appoint a commission. I brought this up in November meeting of last year, October-November meeting. And
So that would have been the first step. They wouldn't have had to have a petition.
wouldn't have not had to go do nothing. Wouldn't have had to, each one of us jurors would appoint it who we wanted to the commission. It didn't go nowhere. Okay. At that point, they seek to go out and form a petition, which would require, if they get their amount of signatures, it requires us as a jury to have to put it on a ballot to form a commission. Okay. They did that. So see, the way this parish is split up, that kind of explained it. And I don't like the way they use the word we the people, because I think we all the people, no matter how you feel about something. They have we the people who are in support of a home rule charter and the petition that was brought. You have this people who are, I could still consider we the people, who are against the home rule charter and against the petition for the way it was written. And you have this amount of people who are we the people who just don't give a crap and just don't want to know and don't care, don't make me a crap what happens.
And there's a lot of those too.
Yeah, very many. There's three. And let me say this, to start off, during this whole home rule charter, do you know how many phone calls I got concerning home rule charter? One individual called me once a week from Plocherville, an elderly man, because he wanted to be on a commission to write it. He was the only one called me about it. And I had several phone calls. People called me and said, Bobby, they want me to sign this petition. Is this going to hurt you in any kind of way? It's not going to hurt me in any kind of way. Sign it. Just my answer to them. Evidently, my district didn't care about a home rule charter. They might have fell in this third group, evidently. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, when the charter came up, they got their signatures, okay, ordering us to put it on the ballot. Okay. These people did what they wanted. They did what they needed to do legally. Sorry for these people over here that are against it. I hate that. But these people did what they needed to do. They got their petition, okay? So what ends up happening is our attorney, Charlie Riddle, came to us and he told us, he said, you have to accept the petition. Well, you had several jurors up here, 5-4, says, no, we don't, because we don't think it's right and illegal. You can't tell us we got to accept something that's not right. So we had a vote on it. I voted that we accept it and we move on with the election. I voted for it. We lost. Okay? So it moved on to where we're not going to put it on the ballot. I voted to put it on the ballot. So Charlie Riddle said we had to go along with it. So they decided at that point, some jurors said, well, we need different counsel because we don't think Charlie Riddle is defending us correctly. Okay? So I think Kirby even made the statement in the meeting that night. You know, we don't think you're on our side here. Okay? 5-4 vote, let's just say. I mean, They win. Mm-hmm. So at that point, what ended up happening is they decide to make a vote to hire an outside attorney. I voted against that because my attorney, Charlie Riddle, is telling me, you can't do nothing about it. You have to accept it. Why spend taxpayers' money? I think it was in the newspaper this week where I said it's a total waste of parish money. Okay. We lose. They win. They can hire their attorney. Okay. Wasn't because I voted to hire the attorney, but
Right.
the attorney's here. Now he's working. He's my attorney now. I can't talk to Charlie Riddle about nothing to do with this now.
Mm-hmm.
He's my attorney. And I questioned him heavy in there, and I don't think he liked me. He didn't return my phone call.
So where's this guy? Where's this attorney from?
Alexandria.
Alexandria. Do we have a name? Is that something that can be disclosed?
Sure. Yes, you paid for it. The people at the parish pay. I might pronounce it wrong. Stacy Ozine is our attorney. Is the attorney for that against the Glenn Goodo versus the Vols Parish Police Jury.
Okay.
He's who the police jury got that on a vote that was not unanimous now. So when they throw this stuff in social media and says the jury vote, no, not all jurors did.
Mm-hmm.
Majority won.
Right.
And that's the way
5-4.
that's the way we work here. You know, that's the way not one man makes a decision.
Mm-hmm.
And you had these other jurors that said, my people just do not want this. They do not want a home rule charter. You had these other jurors saying, this petition is crazy. So now this new attorney comes in here and he steps in front of us in a jury, and I'm against hiring him. So my question to him is, why do we even hire you, sir, if we can't file suit for evidently whatever they're saying is wrong? He said, but you can, sir. You can. You have a right. Okay? Well, now y'all show me the problems that y'all are fighting against. And I'm talking we're talking, I mean, I start looking at these things and looking at this petition and seeing everything that's wrong. Now, even though I'm for the right of the people on this side to write it,
Mm-hmm.
I have to also understand these people's rights over here to say, hey, we don't think we need to accept this because it's not done right. I've been a notary public for 25 plus years. If your name on the front of a title is John P. Doe, and I fill that title out and you selling that title and I leave that P out and you go to motor vehicle, they're going to kick you back to me. Mm-hmm. You don't just come to me and I put a P on it. Right. I have to fill out a affidavit of correction and go through all this. We all got to sign again. So when I see all these things wrong, I have to say, hold on. Even though I'm for the right, I'm for the right of the people to write it. Unfortunately, they even had to get to the petition point. I didn't want them to have to get to the petition point, but it did. The law says, okay, we have to accept this. These people are saying, so I have to look at them now. I have to say they have their rights as well. We the people too. We the people who just don't agree with the petition, or we the people don't agree with a home rule charter, period. The aspect of it.
Well, like what we have.
Right. So I had to look at it. And look, you're going to see things, so many discrepancies. You're going to see, and I have to say, Jay Caligari on We the People, so I'm sure he writes these because he's a spokesperson for We the People. He wrote a letter on in the September 30th thing, says the law says that once the police jury is presented with a certified petition, they shall call for an election of commissioners to draft a charter. That is, if you feel that the petition was done correctly. Because you can go in front of a courtroom, in front of a judge, and he can make a decision to send you to jail or say that you owe this civil court thing. You have a right to appeal anything. You had that right to appeal. These jurors did not feel it was correct, the ones who wanted to hire this attorney. Because for the simple fact, election code says every petition shall, the same word, I'm going to have to kind of read off of it as well.
Okay, whenever you're done with it, I just want to give it to the cameras.
Okay. Shall have a handwritten signature of the voter, the date the voter signed the petition, the signed ward, precinct, and year of birth, the address in which the signer is registered, the signer is either typed or legibly written, the name of the person who witnessed or who obtained the signature, and the date on which the person witnessed and obtained that signature. That is revised, that is election code, okay? Jay Caligari came on your show eight months ago.
Yeah.
I'm going to quote him. Jay stated in an interview, when doing the petition, they will put their name, year of birth, date they signed, its ward and precinct and their address, and then a witness that watches them sign it. He also stated that this will be done to make sure no fraud takes place. Okay?
And that's his quote from my podcast,
From your podcast.
when he came
yes.
interview.
Now, I'm reading the election code to you.
Yeah.
Also, before that, man, I can show you so many things that went against everything, against the election code and against what he stated, and just some of these.
So he basically stated the election code, but the petitions weren't followed by the election code.
As far as we're concerned, as far as those jurors were when they wanted to hire an attorney, once I looked at it, I agreed with them.
Yeah.
It was a botched petition. It was just a botched petition. Instead of crossing the T's and dotting the I's, they did opposite. It bothered me. I had a problem with that because I really expected more from that group to give, a pristine petition.
Right.
I was looking for a pristine petition because I wanted them to write it. I truly did. But on the other hand, these people, they have their right too, and I have to look at what they're looking at saying is wrong, and I have to agree with them at that point. What's wrong?
Are there any that were filled out right, or we throw all the baby out with the bathwater?
There were some that were filled out right.
So you have to go through each one line by line, and then cherry pick the ones that were done correctly, and then that would make the numbers not enough for the petition to be legit.
But the thing that's going to go to court is saying, with so many indiscrepancies in it, do you just null and void the whole petition?
Right.
And they left. The petition was left in various locations, which you can't do because they weren't with it. I just really want to tell you one thing that I really. This is one thing that bothers me the most. This is what really truly bothered me and what made me. On this petition, it shows where signatures were signed on February the 3rd, 2023, February the 3rd, and February the 10th. Okay? This petition, that part of the petition, was turned in to the Register of Voters. It's turned in now. Okay? This turned in to the Register of Voters on February the 16th and stamped. February the 16th and stamped.
And the date says what? February
These people signed February the 3rd.
the 3rd.
They signed February the 10th. Part of this petition was turned in to the Register of Voters and stamped February the 16th. But yet, 7 days later, you have people coming and witnesses their signatures. How did they even get their hands on this petition?
Wow.
It was turned in. Now, this is all, this is evidence here. So, these people here who are against it, I feel like they have a legitimate right to be against it. Even though I feel like these people have a right to write it, sure. I also have to look at these people's, where they're coming from. I do. Do I want them to write the petition at the end of the day? Sure, I do. But I feel like at the end of the day, these people who are against the petition or people who are against this home rule charter as a whole, they have their rights as well.
Yeah, if you're going to do it right.
Do it right.
And then may the best man win.
That's right. And it kind of, all this has kind of been dead, except, I think Mr. Goodo went on Facebook a while back and stated that the way we're going to beat them now, because it's got knocked out of these courts and stuff like that, and Jay's kind of misled a lot of people on some of that, but it's got knocked out of these courts for reasons, because when Mr. Goodo sued the police jury, he sued us because we weren't going along with a petition. What did he not do? He didn't introduce this petition to Judge Bennett. Why do you think he didn't introduce this petition to Judge Bennett?
So that was the basis of the I guess a lot of people are asking, including myself.
Sure.
I'm
Sure.
like,
I'm gonna tell you what I know.
sued, right? Like, who's suing who? Is it a group of people? And so it started with one man,
Mr. Goodo.
So Mr. You say Glenn Goodo.
Glenn Goodo is the one suing the police jury.
He's that put the lawsuit on the police jury.
Sure.
To get this thing going,
Sure.
and then it went to district court. The police jury lost, right? And then y'all appealed it, went to the Third Circuit. Then y'all won. Then they appealed it and went to the Supreme Court.
And the Supreme Court just didn't want to hear it. And Jay misleads people because he said the Supreme Court just didn't want to hear that. They knocked it back down to where it went. Because
so where does it knock back down to?
Right now, let me tell you where it went back to. Right now, several months ago, it went back to where it can go back to district court. Well, Mr. Goodo gets on Facebook and he tells basically people that the way now to get this charter going is to unelect us, to have people run against us. And that's what's happened. People running against us for this reason. Now what they're doing, since this $35,000 came out, all of a sudden out of the blue, they just filed again for us to go to court, and they want us to go to court, I think, October.
For this same court case we're just talking about?
Just for a hearing to set a date. So what it's going to do, it's going to put it in the newspaper. It's going to put, police jury and home rule charter at it again. Police jury's going to waste more of your money. It's a political stunt to make the police jurors look bad. That's all it is. Simple as that. Jay Calagaro's behind it. He's the one pushing it because he's a spokesperson for it. And you can sit here and say, what he stated on your podcast before, what he stated before. This is 12 to 16 years before we see anything from this home rule charter. Does Avoyelles Parish have 12 to 16 years to gamble? Man, we're too poor of a parish to do that.
So it'd take 12 to 16 years before it could be enacted if things would have went their way and everything?
No, before we'd see any good come out of it. According to him on your podcast, right. That's what he stated. But and they keep telling people, when people comes to these things, they keep telling people what they want to hear. They keep telling you that it's not been written yet. But they're telling you that all of a sudden, Jay's telling people that there's going to be term limits. How do you know there's going to be term limits? It's not been written yet. How do you know the 9 or 11 people that gets put on this commission might not say, hey, you know what? On a local level, we don't need term limits. How do you know that? But you're telling everybody the charter is going to say no term limits. You're also telling the people, misleading the people by telling the people, the salary will be under $100,000. How do you know that if it's not been written yet? You're telling everybody, how can you go against a charter if it's not been written yet? But you're telling everybody what's already going to be in the charter. How do you know? How does he know? It's not been written yet.
Right.
Or has it been written? That's the key.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key.
That's a very interesting point. I want to go back to the court. Mm-hmm. So it's my understanding that if it goes to the the Third Circuit Court, they trump the district court. How is it back in the district court? That's the part I can't wrap my head around.
The third court said they sided with us, saying that the petition, the attorney for the police jury went in and said this petition should have been brought into Judge Bennett's courtroom.
So a retrial, new evidence.
Right. Basically. Okay. Judge Bennett should have allowed this.
So it's all about the evidence that they didn't bring for the first time when they went in front of Judge Bennett. They didn't present this evidence.
Mr. Goodo didn't present it, and basically he was suing us based on his petition, but he never put his petition as evidence. I wonder why. I mean, I kind of wonder why. He's a friend of mine, by the way. He's a very good friend of mine. I like him, and look, we may have a drink tonight. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a friend of mine. We don't discuss this. But my thing about it, he didn't present it. Mm-hmm. So the Third Circuit Court of Appeals says we're going to kick it back because it should have been put in.
So was it presented in the Third Circuit?
The Third Circuit Court, all they said, yes, it was. They said it should have been presented.
Okay, and let it get ruled on by the lower level.
Lower level. They didn't. They just said this needed to be presented to the lower level. Okay. They didn't like that. Mr. Goodo fought. Now, Mr. Goodo had to pay all these court fees.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, he had to pay all these court fees. Now, he brought it back up to the state Supreme Court. State Supreme Court, like Jay misleads you, says they didn't. We don't even want to hear that. Third Circuit Court does said send it back down to the lower and let them put the evidence in place. Now, they did not do this for all these months because I can't see Judge Bennett, and I might be speaking out of place. I can't see him looking at this and say, oh, I've got to say this is a valid thing. Now, Jay's going to come back as a spokesman for them. He's going to come back and he's going to tell you like he did in the paper here, that the register of voters, she's gone through all these classes. She's done all this. Well, judges have gone through law school. They've gone through many things. They make decisions that goes up for appeals. Mm-hmm. And I mean, so it doesn't make us as a jury, of the majority of the jury who want to fight this, not have a right to fight it. Because you have these people, they have their right to. And that's where I stand. I had these people right, these people's right. He also made this statement on here that the court did not decide to hear the case, which is not unusual. It's a pretty cut and dry case as far as the law is concerned.
Let's talk about the Supreme Court.
It is a pretty cut and dry case. Send it back to the lower court and introduce.
So they never heard it or anything.
No,
never went to Baton Rouge.
No. They denied even hearing it. Send it back where it came from. Now, all of a sudden, like I say, Mr. Goodo made on his Facebook on the We the People that the way to beat it now. You can go back and look. It's on
vote them out.
It's vote us out. Okay. Now all of a sudden, since this home rule charter, the price that the lawyer got paid $35,000 in the paper last week came in. All of a sudden now they want to set up a court date. What's that going to do? It's going to put it on the front page of the newspaper. How much more is this going to cost a police jury? Mm-hmm. Jay Caligari or whoever the spokesman for We the People made another a misrepresentation.
I like a man that comes prepared.
Right.
You got all kinds of ammo scattered.
Well, sure. Because I'm going to speak what I know to be the truth. The police jury, however, has $17 million a year of your tax money to fight you and your right to vote on local issues. That is the biggest lie that ever came. Do we have $17 million? Sure. Can I go get 1 penny out of that library fund, that dedicated fund, and pay a lawyer to fight this? No.
Well, where does the money come from?
It comes from the general fund. Comes from the general fund.
So, are there any restrictions on the general fund, or it's for things like this? Is it flexible? I guess
the general fund is flexible. Sure, the general fund.
But that's not coming from our roads, our drainage, or anything.
No. Don't catch me in the catch-22 there.
No, that's
right.
not a kid.
Sure.
I'm trying to understand all this myself.
Can we take $35,000 that they gave this lawyer and put it in roads? Doggone right we can. Could we take 25,000 of that and ask the state to give us 100,000 in capital outlay? Sure we can. But this is how we pay a lot of our little bills. This is how we pay our salaries as jurors.
So that comes out of the general fund salaries and the district attorney, which
salaries for police jury.
For police jury only.
Right, because you had people that works on the road and bridges. It comes out of road and bridges. You have people that works on in the salvage yard. Comes out of solid waste. That's where their salaries come from. And that's another thing Mr. Caligari stated on your pod 8 months ago, that the jurors' salaries will be cut. How do you know that? It's not been written yet. I mean, or has it? I mean, how do you know that the 9 to 11 commissioners being appointed to this or even elected to this are going to say, you know what? Let me sit here and tell you this. I bring home $660 a month after taxes as a police juror. I lose money at the end of the year as being a police juror. By the time I have to clock out at work, by the time I spend my gas, I go to 6 or 7 meetings a month that average an hour, 2 hours a piece. I lose money. But I do it because I feel like my district is getting good representation, not being saying because I'm doing it. I know what I'm doing. I see what I'm doing. I know how to stand up. I know how to fight some battles and fights. And that's who I am.
So you're not in it for the $600 and whatever dollars.
No, I lose money. I mean, so to say you're going to cut my pay, and let me tell you what happens here. And it's kind of almost, and I got to say something about Darrell Desertel. I got to give him props. He tried to raise representatives' pay, I think $60,000 or something, from $16,000 to $60,000 in the House, and it didn't pass. Okay. What that does, it keeps, let's just say someone like me, I'm just I'm very moderate income, person, makes a little more than minimum wage. I'm just a common person.
From the parish.
Yeah, from the parish. And I can't run for state representative if Darrell turns out. You know why I can't run? Because I can't live on $16,000 a year. And do I have a job that's going to let me take off doing legislation for a month, 2 months? Man, that's hard to find. So Darrell did try to reach out and help to let people like me who could say, okay, if I ran for representative and I won, I could quit my job and hey, I can live on $60,000. I can't, So what they're trying to do, this is my personal opinion. I'll take it to the bank.
Yeah, we all have opinions.
Yes, this is my personal opinion. You have a very wealthy man that's funding this whole organization, this charter. You have a spokesman that's his spokesman, and you're sitting here saying basically that you're going to cut salary. So what you're going to do is you're going to take away from someone like me who's already barely making it as a juror. You know, because I'm losing money to represent my district, and you're going to knock it down to maybe nothing or $100 a month. So what you're going to do? You're going to get a man who in there who's got money. So the wealthy people are the ones pushing this. Simple as that. The wealthy people are the ones that are pushing this heavy. And what is the reward in that for them? Kind of makes you wonder, kind of thing.
Like it sounds like the way you're describing it, like they almost they want to establish their own clique, sort of.
Exactly. That is exactly what I think they're doing. I mean, why else would you want to do it? And and you sit back and they've used the example before, saying with this home rule charter, we're going to have a parish president that's gonna be here, that's gonna turn around. He can go to Baton Rouge and fight for it. Well, you know what? That's what we got Daryl Desertel and Heather Cloud doing for us, and they're doing a hell of a good job, as far as I'm concerned. They're bringing tax money. That's what we elected them to do. Mm-hmm. We need a person here. We need people here with our boots on the ground in my district that I know what's going on, and other districts that knows what's going on. And they're telling people what they want them to hear and sapping them into that, and that's sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see after this this political season has been the most polarized that I've seen, like on a local election, and maybe it's only because I'm doing the podcast and I'm hearing, like, this is a great podcast. I love all the information you brought. I like hearing the other side. I like hearing this side. I like hearing everybody's side. Like you said, everybody has different opinions. But it's very informative. This is good stuff. I'm glad you brought all this.
And after it's over with, I'll actually show you some of the evidence.
I wanted to show the law earlier.
Here it is, right here. No, we got it right here. That's it right here. That is election code law.
Election code law right
now,
here.
Jay's going
to 18.
Right. Now Jay's going to tell you we had to follow that other law that states, but keep in mind, that's if we have the right to think that it's not legal, you have a right to appeal anything. Mm-hmm. You do.
So what other law is he?
What he's saying is that it says that whenever a petition is given, what he's saying is when the police jury is presented with a certified petition, they shall call for an election of commissioners to draft a charter. That is the law. That is one law that says that through from Louisiana, I think Louisiana Constitution law that does say that. But if we don't feel the petition is legal, we have a right to object to it. Right. You have a right to object to anything and file a lawsuit against anything.
Because the other law says that you have to have the wards and precincts.
Wards and precincts and the signatures. And I'm going to show you when this is over with how much of all this was not done completely. And you'll understand.
I feel like you've read through a lot of those.
I've read through a lot of them. Yes, I have.
All right, we're going to jump gears in, or unless you have anything else to add to the home rule charter. No. We term limits. What's your thought on term limits? That's another big question that's been popping up from. I've interviewed some of the sheriff candidates already, and the police jury. A lot of people, a lot of questions I do are some that people have asked. So that was the big, of course, home rule charter, taxes, and term limits has been one I've been getting.
Right. Term limits. That's a big thing that came up since Caligari and then pushed that. That's going to be in their home rule charter that's not been written yet. So that's when that came up a whole lot. But on a local level, I think October the 14th, I'm on a one term limit. Mm-hmm. People don't like me, they're going to vote me out one term. Yeah. I'm on this one term limit. Mm-hmm. And you can sit back, and I'm just going to use this, this example. Do we want term limits? Let's say I'm going to sit here right now. I hate to know that Heather Cloud, this is her last term. She can serve with this new term. I hate that because she's represented. I hate that for Daryl Desertel. He's represented as well. I hate that. What are you going to get after that? So that is something that actually it's.
I think they can go 3, right? The representative in a 3 term. I think it's 3.
Is it? Okay, I may be wrong.
I may be wrong. I think it's 3 terms.
Okay, I thought it was.
Not sure about the Senate, but anyway, yeah.
Right. But I feel Nancy Pelosi. I think majority of my district wanted her out of office a long time ago. But I mean, if you would have knocked her out of office term limit, you would have got someone in there just like her. I think
from their issues.
I think on a local issue, I think we are term limited every election. And people just don't choose to run against some people. You might have someone that's been in there for 20 years. If you don't like what they're doing, term limit them.
We all like to complain over here in the Avoyelles Parish.
Oh,
I grew up around, the old people would sit around drinking beer or
I
coffee
get 15
and complaining,
cussings to one
know?
attaboy.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, but the thing is, they don't know what they complaining about, and that was a big reason why I started the podcast to get you hear all kinds of all sides, all different opinions, and hopefully this helps get people to get more involved and just know their candidate and know. I'm sure Jay will come on later, and once I'm finished interviewing the elections, the sheriffs and everyone that I'll be doing after the election, he'll probably want to come on and give the other side of the with the home rule charter.
I hope to come back again.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't be a stranger.
Definitely.
You
Win or lose, because let me tell you,
win or lose, you have a lot of
let me tell you,
any information you have.
home rule charter is going to probably I'm probably better. They'll probably be better off if I won the election. Let's just say that, because I'll probably be a little less out because when elected, I have to represent these people and I have to represent these we the people. If I'm not elected, I represent Bobby Bordelon at that point.
Right. All right, Bobby. You a couple of more questions. You have an open door policy in your district. People can call and complain at you anytime. Other than the middle of the night.
No,
I don't want the job, to be honest with you.
I've had calls as late 1 in the morning as early as 4. So yes, look, I stayed. What was 3 weeks ago? I was on a bridge at Spring Bayou to 12 midnight. We had to replace the bridge. I was out there with the people to 12 midnight. And I was assuring them we was going to get it taken care of.
Wasn't that a fire truck or something?
Yes,
sir. So that was accurate information that
it was. It was one of the boards gave out, and the back wheel of the truck just went through.
Geez.
They pulled him right out. Got it done.
So no one got hurt?
No. Stayed there till midnight. Got it repaired, and I think Tuesday morning I had the bridge tore out and I had a 5-foot cover put in there with an overlay, and people are happy.
All right, I got another big one for you. Your district boundaries. She's gonna pull it up on the. If you can just kind of walk people through it, she'll follow along while you just kind of explaining. Like I always say, nobody knows what districts they're in. School board district, police jury, that's different. You know all these things. So it's everything in red.
Mine is very weird, and actually, I really don't want to look at it because I don't want to get confused.
Yeah, she'll follow you with the.
I kind of start off at where I live at Spring Bayou. And actually, I carry Little River, and I come out to Highway 1 on Slim Lemoyne Road in between the casino and Walmart.
Okay, yeah.
I cross over the road there. It turns left, and if you're going down the airport road, Dewey Bernard, I carry everything to the left. Colonel Jones carried everything to the right to the curve down there. Then Kirby carries everything to the right. I still carry everything down to the left, all the way down Scheck Schneider. It goes down, it catches part of the large road. I go into Mansour. I turn right. I carry the first block where the school is. I cut back across the Roy Theater Road, where the Roy Theater, Roy. Yeah. I carry back that all the way to Highway 1. I proceed down Highway 1, carry the left-hand side. I turn right. I go around the city limits of Moorville, just around the city limits of Moorville. I hit MP cutoff.
Yep, know what you're talking about.
I go down there and I start carrying both sides. I carry all of Plocherville. I carry, going toward Cottonport a little bit on there. I carry all the way back up to the levee, what they call the levee road in Plocherville. That takes me all the way back to Bordelonville and down Pete Laborde Road and all that kind of in Hamburg area. I carry part of that, and it just circles back to part to where the locks is in Bordelonville, and it circles back to Spring Bayou through that area. It's a very, very diverse district, and let me tell you something. People are different in every. Let me tell you, my residents, my people in Plocherville, they are Plocherville people. Mm-hmm. People in Bordelonville are Bordelonville people, and people in Spring Bayou. They all have the same common goal. They're good people. Mm-hmm. They want good, but they look at things differently.
Right.
So it's like I have 3 diverse districts to
That's
deal
like
with.
part of your district voted for that tax, the four
Correct.
district,
Correct.
or
Correct.
what do y'all call them? Districts, or I keep saying district, but
We are districts.
right.
We,
What do y'all call the four?
that they were road districts too.
Road
Road
districts.
District 2 is the one got passed out
Okay.
of the 4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
so-
part of your district there that got that.
Yeah. So the house where I live at, the road I live on does not fall in Road District 2, but you go 1 mile and part of Boggy Bayou, half of that road falls in that Road District 2 tax money.
Yeah, I guess you got to draw the line somewhere. isn't it?
Yeah, I had to drive.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Bobby. Closing. Well, first of all, what is your ballot number?
66.
66.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Let me write that down. All right. Closing thoughts. If you want to, why should your constituents reelect you to serve another term? Anything you want to add and everything else, just now's the time.
Right.
Talk to your constituents.
Look, for 4 years, I gave the people my word. I've never made a promise. You know, when I ran 4 years ago, I never made a single promise. And I never, you know, every now and then you run across someone say, "You promise you?" No, 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 no. And I've not made a promise this time because I can't promise you what tomorrow's going to bring. I don't know what tax base we're going to have tomorrow, so I don't make those promises. So I've been spoken, I'm very outspoken for the people. I've stood up for what the people think in my district represents. I've went against some heavy hitters since I've got elected. I've had some major people come after me because I didn't go along with their way, and I still fought the good fight. I feel like my district stood up behind me. And I feel like my district knows that I'm going to continue to fight for them because look, this is a dog-eat-dog world out here when it comes to this. You have to be prepared. It's not for the weak-minded. you have to be ready to roll with it. And I feel like, you know, I'm 48 years old. I still feel good. I still got the energy in me. I still got the want to in me. Because let me tell you, there's some days that want to, it goes some other way. It's where sometimes, man, do I even want to do this again? But I still have the want to in me. And as long as I have that want to in me, and I don't come complacent to where, oh, it's just what it is. No, then it's time for me to go. But I still have the want to, and I still want to be the voice for the people of District 7, and I plan on continuing to be the voice for them. And look, I have an open door policy. They know my phone. If I don't answer, I'm going to call you back. They know that, and I've proven that to people. And I don't think no one can say I've not called them back. And sometimes it's not the answer they want, but they understand once we speak. So I look forward, and I hope that people reelect me again and let me continue to be their voice for District 7.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bobby Bordelon, number 66 on the ballot. Thank you, Bobby, for coming out.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. It's a very interesting podcast.
Yes.
I really like it. Just do me a favor, whether you get elected or not, don't be a stranger. You're welcome in the podcast to come relay whatever information or that it is that you want to have, you know, parish related or whatever.
Yes, sir.
That may be. So thanks again for coming out.
Thank
And
you.
everyone, thank you for watching. Appreciate you tagging along for we're over an hour now for this podcast.
Wow.
Thank everybody for watching. This is another edition of The Other Side.
I wanna be like you. I wanna be like you.